Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Wolverine Studios Developer Dynasty for Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 2021. I thank you for joining me on this Tuesday evening. We've been going live every Tuesday for the past few weeks with Developer Dynasties for Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 21, and we've been going on Friday nights at 7:30 for Draft Day Sports Pro Football 2021. We've had a lot of great feedback in these streams, both on things that we were working on and things that we were going to work on. Great suggestions, and you've been able to see in these streams the implementation of some of your suggestions, so that you can see that you're having an impact in how these games get finalized. Before we start, I want to say thank you to all of our followers. We picked up some new followers, and we're on our way to 200 followers, which is pretty amazing for us, just a short period of time. And there in the chat box, Breeze837, hello. So hello to you. Thank you for joining us tonight. A very, very special thank you to our subscribers, including our newest subscriber, CD Cool, who subscribed last Friday at the end of the stream. He used his Amazon Prime account to have a Twitch Prime account for free. And with that Twitch Prime account, you get one free subscription every month that you can use on any channel you want. And we certainly appreciate those who use it on our channel, as it supports us and gives us a little bit of help in maintaining everything that we do at Wolverine Studios. So a huge thank you to everybody for that. If you haven't followed us, make sure you hit that follow button and have notifications on so you know when we go live. And if you do have the opportunity to subscribe, either with your free Twitch Prime subscription or otherwise, we certainly appreciate that. So tonight we're gonna take a couple of looks at some new things that I've been working on the past week. Most of it straight from suggestions, either from this stream or there's a forum that we have, a community forum, and there's been some good suggestions in there, as well as a couple of private messages or people have reached out on Twitter, things like that, just with different suggestions. So I'm going to show you how we're implementing some of those things. And Sizzling Popcorn, thank you for the follow. He's a great streamer. If you haven't seen any of his work on YouTube, check it out. He did a great Dynasty a while back using Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball. So hopefully we'll see him with a new stream sometime soon, maybe even for the 2021 version when it's released. So we're going to load up just one of the saved games here, and we can look around some of the new things that we've been working on. Again, if you have anything that you want to throw into the chat box to discuss, I'd be happy to do that. And let's start with just a small addition to the staff screen. A lot of people have asked me over the time, what do the ratings mean? So what we've done now is we've added this little box here for coach rating help. So just quickly, this will give you an in-game explanation of what the ratings are for. Evaluating offense is going to be the coach's ability to evaluate the offensive skill abilities of players. Evaluating defense, obviously the same thing, but for defensive skills. And evaluating potential is the ability that the player could grow in all categories. Now, in each of these three areas, the higher the star rating, the higher the accuracy. It does not mean that a low-rated coach can't find the accurate rating when evaluating either rookies coming in the draft or young players already in the league. But they're more often they have a wider range that they can miss on the worse that they're rated. And you can see in the message box down here, when the player ratings are evaluated in the games, it takes into account everything from the general manager down to the third assistant coach. So if you have bad assistant coaches, they are going to have an impact in the consensus rating of prospects or young players. So you can't ignore the end of your bench. The second and third assistants do have a role. They are important in terms of this sort of thing. The biggest portion of it, I won't disclose the exact percentages, but the biggest portion of the rating comes from the head coach and then the general manager. But the assistants do have a role each in formulating that overall rating for each player at their each rating. The game strategy rating is the coach's in-game ability. So coaches who are higher in game strategy, their teams get not only a tiny bit of a boost during the simulation itself, but in terms of calling timeouts and offensive plays out of timeouts, as well as defending the opposition out of timeouts. Coaches with higher game strategy ratings get a small boost there for the team as well, to simulate the fact that they could draw up a good play, or they know how to defend a play that the other team might draw up. That is only for the head coach. If you are, you don't really have to worry about that with the assistant coaches, and obviously the general manager isn't coaching the game. So really, that one you can focus mostly on the head coach. And then the player development, that's coach's ability to help develop players to their full potential. Players develop over the course of the season, as well as during training camp. Playing time absolutely factors into that for young players. So a young player that you're giving playing time to will have a leg up in development over somebody who's sitting, or maybe playing. The worst case is sitting and not playing at all. The next best case scenario would be sending them to the D League to play, and then the best case would be giving them minutes with the pro team. All of the coaches have a role in player development. Again, the head coach is really the most important there, but the other coaches do have a role. The general manager doesn't have a role in that either, unless you're taking on the role of head coach. So why is it important for the general manager ratings? Because you are creating yourself as the general manager. So if you're putting trying to play on a more challenging level and giving yourself fewer rating points to start, you might want to spend those in the evaluating categories and really not pay much attention to game strategy or player development, unless you are playing in local mode, in which case you can fire the head coach and take over head coach duties yourself, and then you would need good ratings in those areas. So that's just one small thing we've done there. Another one that came up on the forum for the standings screen. So in the past, the standings would always start with the Eastern Conference on top and the Western Conference following them. That's great if you're an Eastern Conference team. If you're a Western Conference team, that means you had to scroll down every single time to find where your team is. So for 2021, we've tweaked that so that whether you click on division or conference, if you're playing as a Western Conference team, or whatever you want to call that second conference, then you'll get your standings view first, and you can scroll down for the other one. It's small things like that people make a suggestion. Either it comes up in the chat here, or on the forums, or they something on Twitter or Facebook or DMs or something like that. Just a small suggestion like that could make a big difference just in the usability of playing the game. I mean, now when you go to the standings, if you were a Western Conference team, that'll eliminate all the extra scrolling you have to do to find out where your team is. So even if you have just a tiny suggestion, throw it out there because it could be useful. A couple things in the chat box that I'll get to right now. Sizzling Popcorn, I noticed in College Basketball 28, you can't click on a player's name if they show up in a news article. It'd be nice to click on them to see their profile and take action. I'll make a note of that to check out what goes on with that. You can. I want to make sure that that you actually can't, because in the pro game here in the news section, if you click the name, it will pop up. So I'll check to see why it's not doing that in the college game. And if it's just a bug, we can fix it for College Basketball 20. And if it's not built in, we can build it in for 21. BRI Mix 78 hyperlinks from the record books seem like a good idea. That one's a little bit tricky in some areas. Let's see, I don't know if this one is just a new league, so it won't have anything in here. But in some sections there will be links, others they're not because it's a little tricky from where the data gets pulled and stored. So we'll do the best we can. I've tried to improve that best I can, but we'll see. We'll see how we can do that. I want to go over to the trade screen and set up something here. One more in the chat box came up. We'll handle that. Breeze 837. During the draft, if I know what player I want to draft, I don't feel like scrolling. Maybe a search bar would be great to save time. Yeah, we can. Let me make a note of that because this platform does have the ability to have like a search box. We have a search screen here in the league here where you can, you can just type a name here and it will, scroll that down just to that name. So I'm going to make a note for that. That's a good suggestion for the draft. I love the feedback and suggestions, guys. Keep them coming. Seasoned vet, is it possible to have coach player preferences, like a coach who would prefer players who are able to shoot threes, and etc. The coaches do have somewhat of a hidden factor for that, but they also are dynamic in that they will look at the roster they have and adjust their strategy to the roster. So if a coach does prefer to shoot threes and stuff like that, but they don't have a roster that's suited for that, then they're not going to do it because it would be silly to have them force players who are not good 3-point shooters to perform that way. The team would perform terribly. So instead, the coaches are actually pretty smart. They'll look at their roster and see what suits that team the best, and then they'll choose their offensive strategy from the 7 that are in the game here to fit what suits that team the best, rather than it works differently in the college game. In the college game, each coach has a system, and they can recruit players to that system, and that's much more realistic in real life because coaches can go out and recruit any players they want, and they can find players for the system. In the pros, it just doesn't work that way. The entire game has sort of evolved, towards certain things over time, but it's really hard. You can't just go out and find specific players because you have to trade for them or draft for them, and it's just not the same as in the college game. But the college game coaches do have that, and it works differently in the pro game. And then we got another one. Baseball. During the draft, it would be nice if the scouted grades for all the college players to be shown and sorted like how it's done in the player search field during the regular season. I'll have to take a look at that and pull up the draft screen and see what we're looking at there. Part of it is you don't have scouted grades for all of the players. You have to work out the players, and you only get so many workouts, so there'll only be so much data to provide there. Anyways, but maybe if it's possible, we can work some way of displaying that data a little bit better. The draft will get some attention, get some love as we work on things here in 2021. Haven't done much with that at this point, though. One thing we have given a lot of attention to is the trading, though. We've talked about a lot of the trade improvements over the past couple of streams. The ability to place a player out here and get an immediate offer or a no thanks from a team. The ability to find the weaknesses of the team and the what plan that they're sort of on. One thing that I've just adjusted, thanks to some feedback, specifically from BRI Mick78, who's here in the stream tonight, is making teams smarter with their plan, with their stages. So in this case, I'm using the roster mod again so that you guys can see this sort of thing. A trade here for Gallinari for Washington and Marvin Williams. It's cap legal, and the game itself says that that's an advantage towards Charlotte in this trade because Gallinari is a significantly better player today. Williams is at the tail end of his career and really serving in just a bench role, and PJ Washington in this file is just a rookie, and he's got potential, but Gallinari is the best player in the trade. So from a value standpoint, the AI would look at this in the past and say, okay, that's a fair trade. I'm getting the best asset in the deal right now, and and it's willing to make that trade. For teams who are contenders, that's a smart move. For a team that's a rebuilder, they shouldn't want to take on a veteran who's going to be a free agent and give up a young player. So now if I make this offer, Charlotte in this case is going to reject it and say that they are rebuilding and that that would not be a smart trade for them at this point in time. So again, it's just another way that we've really been fine-tuning the trade engine here to make it much more realistic. There's been a whole lot of work done with trading draft picks, trying to trade, in the draft, punting picks for the future and trying to stockpile picks, or use up a bunch of second-round picks to try to trade for a late first or something like that. I've been kind of taking all of those out one by one here as I work on the trade engine. And it's really tough now. It was already good to start with, but the improvements and the feedback I've been getting have been able to make it even better. So today's edition here is that rebuilding teams are going to be much smarter about trading young players with potential, even if the player they're getting back would be a good player or better than what they're trading right now. Their particular case says that they need players for the future and not so much for right now. So that is the newest addition on the trade screen and the trade logic in the game. And then I see Breeze with a comment: I'm not good at making trades. I think a trade finder would help me find offers instead of the trade block, like how 2K20 has a trade finder. I don't play 2K, so I'm not certain exactly what their trade finder does. But this sort of does, you put a player in the trade here, you can click get offer, and then, in this case, Charlotte's going to not make an offer right now. If we go to a better team and I offer them the player, no offer there. Let's see if I can find somebody who will make an offer. Yep, okay. So they'll make an offer. And this will help you find trades that at least they'll tell you that the team's interested in that player and kind of what they think is a fair offer, and then you can go from there. We've also done a lot of work on the cap part because that's confusing to some people. So we've put up here, now I've added too many players to the trade, so it's no longer a cap legal trade. They'll tell you which team is illegal so that which team needs to be fixed in the deal. So the trade finder, if it's like an instant result trade block, it's sort of this way for one team at a time. I'm assuming maybe 2K must do it for multiple teams at once. But this will do one team at a time at least and give you a little bit more depth here than we've had before. You can also use the trade block and get email offers. To use the trade block, you just click this little icon here for anyone who's not familiar with it. There's also instructions up here that tell you how to use the screen and things like that. There's a couple more things I want to show off tonight. One of it is in adjustments to free agency. Again, nothing nothing has changed yet with the structure of free agency. I don't know that there's that much to change here, but one thing I'm going to have it do now is the game will remember your preference for show targeted players. Um, I noticed when I was playing the Dynasty that we were running here that when I run free agency, I like to have, I'll go through the list of free agents and I will add them to the target list, which you can do. You just click on the player and then you click add to target list, and then if you show only your targeted players, then it narrows down that list for you, so that you're looking just at the players that you had interest in. So now, if you have this toggled on, it will remember that the next time you come back to the screen or the next time you load the league, and it'll always come back to your preference for showing targeted players. If you do leave that toggle on when you go to the next year's free agency, of course, you'll have to uncheck it so you can see the entire list and build your target list again. And then you can click it again to go back to just your target list. But I think that'll be useful for people. There is also on the player cards during free agency in 2020, it would show you the cap hold here, but it was confusing because it would look, there was a number here, and people would wonder, why does this player have a contract number here? So now we've added a label here that tells you what this number is. So BRFA cap hold means bird right free agent cap hold. That way, when you click on it, you'll know if a player is an unrestricted free agent. He'll just say NA now, so that you'll look at this and see that this player is able to be signed by anybody and does not have any bird rights or is not a restricted free agent. And in the case of a restricted free agent, it would tell you that this contract down here is the restricted free agent tender amount, so that you could bid on this player, and it's not an actual signed contract at this point. So hopefully that will clear up some things for anybody looking in those areas. Let's go. There's a couple of things scrolling through the chat box here I want to catch up with. We've had really good chat tonight. I thank you guys for all the questions and the suggestions in here. Breeze 837. All suggestions will be remembered before next stream of the game, right? Like my suggestion to add a search bar during the draft. Anything that's in here, I take notes during the stream, and I can go back and rewatch the stream if needed. So everything that that comes up, I can't promise I'll implement everything, but I do write it down and I do look into everything. Let's see. NBA 2K logic usually sound out of the box, or usually isn't sound. I would agree with that. I would say our trade engine is far and away much better than what NBA 2K does. Although it's not meant to be that sort of game. It's meant for you to have fun mashing buttons and things like that. I really feel if you want a simulation, a franchise mode type game, you look at our games for pro basketball and pro football. Tom Lawley comment here. I posted this in the general discussion earlier. I think implementing a division of defensive ability into perimeter and post defense would be a great idea. I love the complexities on the offensive side of the ball, but one number for defense doesn't do it justice. It's too easy to get away with putting a small guy with 7 or 8D at power forward or center and having them shut down opposing players. I don't know the complexities of the gameplay code, but having perimeter D affect drive stopping and pull up and catch and shoot percentages, with post D affecting post shot and layup percentage and post denial seems like it would lead to more accurate simulations. That's a good point. The one thing that the game does take into effect some other factors other than the defensive rating, like height and weight and things like that for guarding on the post and the perimeter. One thing we have to be able to do if we want to introduce new ratings, though, is we have to have a way to accurately rate players. And really, it has to come from some sort of statistical formula. So if you want to think on that and kind of, talk to me about how we could properly model players based on statistical output and formulas, I'm all ears, and that would absolutely be a great addition to what we're doing here. Baseball, when you sim a day, the free agents that sign are not in any kind of order can be shown in alphabetical order by team. Also, can guys you made offers to be put in bold, so maybe a guy you didn't get is bolded and you easily see where he went and for how much. That is a good suggestion. I can make a note on that. Sometimes when you hear a pause, it's just because it's me writing things down, writing these suggestions down. Can you show other teams' offers so we're not bidding in the dark? I go back and forth on wanting to do that because I don't know that you should know exactly what the other offers are. The newspaper section of the game during free agency will give you rumors as to what another team might be offering. I think it's more realistic that you don't know exactly what the other teams are offering. So I have to think about that. That because I don't want you to exactly know what the other team's bidding so that you can outbid them either. That's kind of a tough area there. Seasoned vet would be if there was some sort of pregame commentary for like the game of the day, like the pre-draft talk show. That's a good suggestion too. We can look into that. And on that note, I want to go over to the 2D screen and show off something that has been added there. Because we are working on improving the presentation. So what I've done here now, there's a new button down here that says the view P by P log for view play-by-play log. In the past, we've just had this play-by-play log on the screen here that shows the entire play-by-play as the game goes on. There was a suggestion from Chris at GM Games in the last stream, and then he's kind of been talking to me about it, for having another option down here that just has a recent play type thing if you don't want the entire play-by-play. So let me show what that can do. And as you can see down here, it will show sort of like a Gamecast type view like we used to have, and merges it into this where it just gives you the highlights of what's going on, the important things. He misses a 12-foot jump shot, defensive rebound, personal foul. He stole a pass, there's a turnover, a dunk was made, there's an assist, misses a 3-point shot. So this will be a different way to look at the game. If you want, you can always click back to the play-by-play log and go through that. And of course, there's an option built into the game that you can turn on the play-by-play log if you want to have the whole log exported after the game. But I thought this was kind of a fun addition here if you prefer this sort of way of viewing the games as opposed to just the play-by-play. The play-by-play is still much more detailed. It gives you every play, everything that's going on, every pass, every drive attempt, all that kind of stuff. So you can do both. You can switch back and forth, whatever is most comfortable for you, whatever way you like the best. But I thought that was kind of a fun option to add in to the game for this season, as we really focus on making that presentation even better than it was before. I just want to pop over to the options page real quick where you can turn on that generate game logs option if you want the entire game log, the entire play-by-play log generated for all of the games if you want to go back and review those for whatever reason. So that is, we got a whole lot covered in just a half hour tonight. And there's a lot of great suggestions, great chat. I really appreciate what everybody came really strong tonight in the chat. So thank you very much. Thank you. We had new followers, Sizzling Popcorn and EasyCar25, new followers during the stream. Again, I really appreciate the support we're getting here on Twitch. This is new for us. We've only been at this a short time, but I really like what we're doing with the Developer Dynasties. It's giving us a great way of interacting with you. I mean, this was a half hour of time that I got some great suggestions right out of this chat. So, and that's really, it's much easier for the developers too that way. We have our community forums and other, things like that, but there's only so much time we have between, actually spending time developing the games and running the company and all these other things. That's why the community forums are community based, and not something that we're necessarily. We have community moderators and stuff like that. The developers, we tried our best to go and look through them and see what's going on there, but we miss stuff. So this is a way. These streams are a way that you get right in front of us for a half an hour. It's we see what you have to say. We can respond to it right now in real time, and then we can take your suggestions and work on them over the week or the next couple of weeks or whatever it is. Or if it's a really big one or something we have to plan for long term, we can kind of put it in our back pocket and call on it later on. So thank you for to our subscribers, to our followers, and everybody's come out to our chats here on Tuesdays and Friday nights at 7:30. If you have any more suggestions, you can always email me or hit us up on Twitter or come to the stream next week with armed with your suggestions, ready to talk directly to me and directly to myself and Brooks on Friday nights for football. And we're going to make, we already make great simulation games, but with your feedback, we're making them even better. And you can see it week by week now through these developer dynasties, how your suggestions, small to big, are being implemented and really improving on the game. So thank you very much for coming out tonight, and we will see you hopefully Friday night for our football stream, and if not, we'll see you back here next Tuesday. If you miss any streams, they're available on Twitch for, I think, 2 weeks, and then we put them up on our YouTube channel as well. So thank you, everybody, and have a great night.